Hello class, welcome to our lesson dealing with solving inequalities while dealing with adding and subtracting. A lot of the things we're going to look at today deal with things we've talked about in Chapter 3. So if you were good at showing your work in Chapter 3, I think a lot of this will come fairly naturally to you. First thing to look at is just a review of what we talked about in Section 4.1. Make sure you know how to graph these three inequalities. Just test them out, make a quick sketch, know open, close circle, which way the arrow needs to go in order to graph the inequality. Here are the three answers, making sure that the less than ones go to the left, so the first and third, greater than goes to the right. Filled in circles on the first two because they both have the equal to. That idea should be pretty easy. I want you to try to work on having three numbers every time, kind of the middle number and the two numbers off to the side on the left and right. You don't need as many numbers as they show here. Also notice that 0 is not numbered on this numbered line, but we know where it's at. So it's way down here somewhere to the left on the first one. On this last one, it's over here to the right. So you don't have to have 0 written out on the numbered line. You just need to know where 0 is at. Okay, when we solve inequalities, basically it's the same as equations. So if it's y minus 6, to get rid of minus 6, you do plus 6 on both sides. Cancel out the 6's, y, same symbol greater than negative 1, because negative 7 plus 6 is a subtraction problem, and the bigger number is negative. And that's it. You just solve it like an equation. You move your pieces around just like you normally would in Chapter 3. Open circle and going to the right. That's what you need. You just do the same thing that you did before. So let's look at the next one. Okay, b minus 3.8 less than or equal to 1.7. To get rid of minus 3.8, add 3.8 to both sides. Less than or equal to is a closed circle at that 5.5, then an arrow going to the left. And again, this should be fairly quick. Original problem, show your step, find the answer. And so it's really a repeat of Chapter 3. So if you were struggling with some of the ideas in Chapter 3 with showing your work, it should get better here because we're practicing it again. Okay, on the next one, you'll notice that z, the variable, is on the right side. For many of you, you want to flip that around. So you put z on the left side, so that'd be z minus 1/4. Okay, notice here, though, that it appears that the symbol switches from a greater than to a less than. All we're doing, though, is swiveling it. Think about it. If it's here and you have to swivel it around, it's got to go the other direction. The other thing is the alligator or Pac-Man's eating, okay, or going to the larger number, which is negative 1/2, so it still has to be doing the same thing when you flip it around. Get rid of minus 1/4 by adding 1/4. Okay, notice this is one of each, so it's subtraction, and the answer is negative. Open circle, going to the left. You'll notice on this one, I used negative 1, 0, and 1, and kind of estimated where negative 1/4 is. You could have done something like negative 2/4, negative 1/4, and then 0. That would also work. There's different ways you can set up that inequality in order to see what it looks like. Okay, on this next one, get rid of minus 7 by adding 7, one of each, so 10 minus 7 is 3, but it's negative. Filled in circle because of the equal to, less than going to the left. So again, this should be very repetitive in order to find some of these answers. This one's a good idea to flip around, so d minus 10 would actually be less than negative 7.5. Add 10 to both sides, you get 2.5 because 10 minus 7.5 is 2.5. Close circle, going to the left for your answer. Okay, this next question says that to be an astronaut, you have to be no taller than 6.25 feet. So notice this is, whatever I have is less than or equal to 6.25. And the reason for that is because the space is kind of like a submarine idea. Okay, so in the Navy, they have a height requirement that you have to be lower than because you want to be able to fit in the submarine, okay, or in one of the battleships. For astronauts, think about the space station. They can't just make things have huge doorways, so there is a limit. The problem is that the units aren't matching up. So you either have to make everything inches, so take 5 times the 12 plus the 6 to make everything inches, and then same with the 6.25, or make 5 feet 9 inches into 5.75 because 9 out of 12 inches. Okay, that might be the part that you struggle with. Okay, and then your current height is 5.75 feet plus how much you grow. Okay, and notice I defined the variable over here, so you want to make sure that you do that. So make sure you define what the variable is supposed to be, okay, when you're solving questions like this, just like you did with Chapter 3 equations. Subtract 5.75 on both sides. X has to be less than or equal to 0.5. What does this mean? This person can grow up to half of a foot or 6 inches and still be okay to be the astronaut. But if they grow any more than that, then they would not be able to fit the requirement. Make sure units match up, though, as you're looking at those questions. Okay, this next one, same idea. Boy Scouts must be less than 18 years old. In 4 years, they will still be eligible. So whatever your current age is, plus 4 years needs to be less than 18. So right now, they must be less than 14 years old. So that would be an open circle to the left. The problem with this question is in real life scenarios, you probably aren't being there's probably a minimum number 2. It's not like you're going to be a 2-year-old Boy Scout, for example. Okay, so there's probably a age requirement on the lower end, okay, which is true in a lot of cases, and then the age requirement on the upper end, okay, in order to be the Eagle Scout. Okay, for your homework, you got 1 through 5, 7 through 25 odd, and 29 through 23. Make sure you work on, for your graphing, 3 numbers, middle number that you have, and then at least 1 number on both sides, open and close circle, and which way the arrow needs to go. Have a good day, everyone.